All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about how to never get stuck in side control again. Okay, but in all seriousness, we're going to go over side control escapes, right? Understanding the position as a whole, so understanding it top and bottom, but really focusing on how we can chain together escapes so that no one can hold us down. All right, guys, so let's get into it. So Nate's going to be on his back. I'm going to kind of narrate through this, have Nate demonstrate the techniques. So let's talk about side control, guys. So in theory, side control should be the easiest pin to escape because generally, like, let's compare it to all the other top pins. Like, let's compare it to mount, of course, right? Mount, I have my hips over Nate's hips. Really hard position to escape. Even half guard. Half guard should be a harder position to escape for the bottom person, okay? And side control, because you're drifted away from the hips, okay? Like I said, in theory, it should be the easiest position to escape from, but especially like maybe you're going against someone a lot bigger than you, right? Side control can be hard, right? To one, you hold someone down, but especially on bottom, it's hard to escape sometimes against bigger opponents. So in order to develop those skills, you need to have a pathway from each different type of side control orientation. Okay, so let's start with the basic one. Is right here. So maybe like when you guys first start, you probably see side control like this with a head and arm control here. Head and arm, and then I have Nate's arm shelved with the elbow to knee connection here. Okay, so just in general as a concept, right? The bottom person doesn't want to be extended, right? The bottom person, if you want to escape, you want to start getting your elbows in, you want to start hip escaping, getting to your side, basically getting to the fetal position, and then from there getting to your stomach and escaping, right? Can you just demonstrate that real quick, Nate? So Nate's going to bring his elbows to his ribs. He's going to find a way to hip escape. Let's hip escape towards the camera here. Boom, right here. And then he's going to try to find a way to scissor his legs and build up to his knees. So if you can find that movement pattern from however the top person is oriented on top of you, okay, you're probably going to find some success escaping. But let's talk about the specifics, okay? So I'm here, over under position. Anytime you guys are in side control, if you can find this top side underhook, go ahead and pummel that top side underhook, Nate. Okay, you can find a way out. Doesn't matter how big the person is. All it takes is the ability to forward hip escape or snow angel out, and you're going to escape that position. Okay, but getting the top side underhook is a challenge, right? Especially if they're staying chest to chest. Okay, so like let's just say I'm staying tight. Nate tries to get that top underhook. No way, right? So what he needs to do is focus on getting this hip frame here. Now, a lot of times people tend to be sloppy with this elbow to knee connection, and you're going to be able to just slide that frame in. But in the case that someone is holding a tight pin, okay, it's going to be hard to just slide that elbow in. So what Nate's going to have to do, okay, and again, like bridging into me is not going to help, especially if they're bigger. What Nate wants to do is he wants to run his legs towards my head, then bridge and hip escape to get that frame in. Okay, but not only is he going to get that frame, okay, he's also going to slide. Okay, can you demonstrate it from this way again? So watch so Nate tries to bridge and turn into me. It's not working, right? So he runs towards my head. When he feels me adjust, he slides his forearm in, and then he brings his bottom shin to connect to his knee, like this here. Okay, so basically Nate's got elbow to knee connection, right? Getting closer to that fetal position, right? So with this frame here, even if I'm still chest to chest, what Nate's going to do is step on his own ankle and stretch away. Now that might not be enough to break their grip, okay? Two things are going to happen, okay? If they stay connected, Nate's simply going to pummel his top arm in front under the chin, and he can choose to go underneath the arm and get that underhook, and then just wrestle up, boom, he's gonna kick his legs through and escape, right? Or, okay, he can pummel that hand under the chin and across the shoulder, okay, and then bring his right arm through and frame in front of the shoulder, stretch away, and get a guard back, right? Okay, so that's the first thing, is if they stay connected. The second way the top person is going to react is they're probably going to let go to address that knee, in which case you can still hip escape and get the bottom leg through, right? Connect it however you want. Okay, so that's the fundamental side control escape. Basically, that's the one thing you're looking to do. You're trying to create that elbow to knee connection facing your partner, okay? But it's not going to be as easy as bridging and hip escaping towards them, like we're often taught. You're probably going to have to run away to create separation, okay? Now, the reason why is when someone's pinning you in side control, not only is it their weight on top, but it's more of the weight coming in from the angles, like you wedging your partner in. Someone good will be better at wedging you in versus just laying dead weight on top of you. So notice what's causing this pin here is my elbow coming in from this side and my knee here. So I'm pinning Nate between my elbow and knee. So when he goes to hip escape towards me, it's very hard if he just tries to face me. That's why he needs to run towards my head. You can see how he opens that connection. Let's turn this way. Let's turn. So take a look, guys, at my elbow and my knee, how I'm wedging Nate's body. Now look when he runs towards my head, okay, and then hip escapes. You guys see that gap? Okay, so that's a crucial detail, at least for me. Again, I remember when I was younger, starting like going from juvenile to like the adult classes. And I remember I used to just have the hardest time escaping side control against like bigger adults. And the moment I realized that, it was a game changer for me, okay? So running towards the head and then creating that elbow to knee connection, okay? Let's talk about what the top person's gonna do if you get that hip frame. Okay, so look, if Nate gets that frame on the hip, you're gonna usually get two reactions. You're gonna see them switch their hip to like a quesami pin to prevent the knee to elbow to connect, or like generally you see bigger guys do this, but if you get the hip frame, they're gonna reach over the arm and they're gonna start going north-south here, okay? Let's talk about the quesami. So if Nate gets the hip frame and I switch my hip, okay? Again, you're gonna see two types, like right here where they're underhooking and pulling the arm up, or sometimes people hang on to the head and arm, which isn't as good, but they still do it, okay? If they go for the underhook and arm, which is the stronger version, Nate's gonna swim. Notice how, even though I switched my hip, I opened up my chest so Nate can get that top hand in front. Still hard to get an underhook, but he can frame across my collarbones here. So ideally, if I'm pulling on the arm, Nate wants to frame at the crease of my elbow. If my hands are still connected, that might be a hard thing to do. Nate's gonna frame right here at the meat of my shoulder, okay? Like the shoulder girdle right there, okay? So let's just take this version here. So Nate frames at the pit of my elbow. What is he gonna do, right? When someone's in quesami, what they're looking to do is pull this arm up, drive the weight across the far shoulder to keep you pinned. And they're gonna do two things. They're either gonna scissor the legs and come back to that head and arm pin so that they can go knee on belly and then mount. Or, again, you'll probably see this more at the smaller weights. They're gonna drive the weight over and then they're gonna prop themselves up straight to knee on belly like this and then mount, right? So, knowing this, okay, as soon as Nate feels me pull this arm, what he's going to do is he's going to frame and he's going to bring his heels to his butt, bridge over his shoulder. And what he's going to look to do is cut this elbow underneath his body. You guys see that? Here. Okay, he's going to cut that elbow underneath his body. Okay, this props his hips up slightly, and this makes me want to square my hips, okay, to pin his shoulder down. So as I make that attempt to pin that shoulder down, Nate's gonna scissor his legs back up to turtle. Now he can do a couple things here. Look, he can release this arm and just get that near side underhook. Okay, here, right? Or he can stick with turtle. He can base out and like already look to hook my leg here, and then now reverse from the turtle position if I decide to take the back. Okay, so that's like the basic thing you should be looking to do, bridging up to that shoulder and then cutting that elbow through. Do it one more time, Nate. Here. Now, as I go for that, Nate scissors his legs and builds up to his hips. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now I understand that might be a hard thing to do. Okay, so Nate's here. He's trying to bridge and make that attempt. Okay, but I'm pulling that arm up. So he can't do that first one. So what he's gonna do, again, he's gonna disrupt this elbow to hip connection by running towards my head. And now he's gonna hip escape towards me to get his right hand in front. So if he couldn't get this arm underneath his body, go ahead and demonstrate one more time. If he can't get here, then what he wants to at least do is get that hand in front of my bicep here, okay? Now from here, all Nate's gonna do is he might have to swing a couple of times, or he could probably just hip escape if I'm lower on his hips. He's gonna bridge hip escape and now get this top underhook through, and then now he's in a good position to escape here, okay? All right. So again, case of good taught me right away. Hand comes in on up top, crease of the elbow here. Okay. Before I drive my weight over the far shoulder, Nate wants to bridge onto his near side shoulder, cut the elbow through, and then turtle up. If he can't do that because I'm putting weight on him, he's gonna run towards my head, hip escape into me to get that hand in front, and then now when I go to put weight on his shoulder, he's gonna cut his elbow through, bridge, hip escape, cut the elbow through here. Okay, so again, a lot of these are requiring bridging. Like, it's not enough to just turn to our side, right? A lot of people, from my experience, they even have a hard time hip escaping. Like, you don't hip escape like our normal hip escape like we do, like the old school warm up, right? What you really have to do is you have to bridge, and then you have to really ball up, okay? You guys see how I'm getting my elbow underneath me? That's the main goal, like heels to butt, bridge, and then cut that elbow underneath. So if you have that ability, things get a lot easier. But if you don't, you can't bring that arm underneath, and you have to swing your legs this way and then create that space to get onto your side, okay? So let's talk about if they go knee on belly, okay? So Nate gets that top frame here. The response to that, they're probably gonna go knee on belly here, right? Because if I reach over his head, probably not the smartest idea. Nate's just gonna pass my elbow all the way around and he's gonna escape. So the smarter decision for the person on top, okay, if they get the top frame, is to bring this elbow on top of the far hip and prop up to knee on belly. Okay, now right away, early stage knee on belly, what Nate wants to do is underhook my foot with his bottom hand, okay? And then what he's gonna do is he's gonna bump me with the near side knee and then wrestle up to a single leg. Okay, look at this grip again. So if I prop myself up to knee on belly, so Nate's hand was here. Look, you guys, this is as soon as they get to knee on belly. As soon as they get here, Nate's underhooking. Now the reason this works is it's gonna disconnect my foot from the ground as he bumps me forward. You guys see that disconnection? And then now he builds up, right? So that would be early stage. Let's just say Nate goes for that. He underhooks my foot, okay, and then I settle back. So Nate tries to bump me, okay, but he can't get my weight off. Okay, this means that I've now taken some of the weight off his stomach and I put it more on the far side of my foot, which is making it hard for him to displace my toes from the mat. From here, what Nate's gonna look to do is swim his top arm in and hook my leg. Okay, now I know what you guys may be thinking, like, there's no way this is gonna work, right? So what Nate's gonna do is he's just gonna keep scooting his butt through that space, keep rotating back into me here, okay, and wrestle up. So I'll show that again, and I'm gonna show you the doubts that a lot of people have when they do this one, right? So when I get here, Nate underhooks, I'm not moving, he swims this hand in. Now everybody, okay, every time I show this one, they're like, oh, what happens if they just sit back here and they smash you? Well, guess what? If you sit back like that, Nate just keeps sitting through, like roll through, almost like a turtle sweep. Look, okay, he can roll me through here, okay, and then face the legs. If he couldn't do that, okay, and like, let's just say I'm like staying really heavy, Nate's just gonna build up to turtle. And then now look at the position we're in. So worst comes to worst, He's off of his back. He's no longer in side control. Now he's in turtle with my leg hooked. Now the worst case scenario is he sweeps me and he has to deal with this crucifix position, right? But as long as he has that awareness and dips his shoulders low, it's actually hard for me to capitalize off that position. And aside from all that, he's escaped the side control and is now on top. Just has to be patient with or foresee that threat of a crucifix. Okay? So those are the two main neon belly escapes. Let's talk about, right, the other option. So I said they would go quesami. They go hip frame, right? So if Nate gets the hip frame here, remember I said they would probably go quesami, or the other one is they'll go north-south, okay? Which they'll bring the arm over, okay, plant the hand, and then they're gonna look to put their head down right by the hip as they step over. This would be an ideal north-south position, right? So before I get my head to the mat, Nate has to try to escape, okay? So look, I'm here. As soon as I post and I go to step my leg over Nate's head, what he needs to worry about is getting underhooks in front of my shoulders. So actually we'll switch from this position in. Okay, can you switch? Go back this way. All right, so right here, this is the position. The underhook I need to be worried about is this one, getting this hand in front of his collarbones here. So the best time to get that would be within transition. So watch this, go back. So Nate's here, side control. I get the top frame, he reaches over. As soon as I feel him step over, I need to start swimming this hand here. Okay, now I know some of us might have trouble with like lifting. We're like, oh, the shoulder pressure, right? So this is where you guys are gonna have to bridge. And you see right now my wrist is on Nate's bicep. I wanna bridge into him so that I get the wrist onto the collarbone here, and then now I can start scooting out of the position, okay? Or if I'm having a hard time, right, you just kind of bridge both ways till you can create some separation. Bridge, maybe you get this hand across, okay? And then now you can swim your hands through and build out here. It's just about being persistent with not staying still, because in the north-south position, the only thing allowing them to pin you here is that head being connected to the ground. So turn this way. The more Nate bridges his hips and disconnects my head from the ground, gives him opportunities to pummel his hands through. Okay, and then eventually hip escaping. So whenever you're in north-south, you just want the arms in front of the collarbones. Okay, or double inside here. Then he can turtle up. Okay, as a concept, either both in or both out. Okay, so that's north-south. There's one more position from side control. And this is, I think, the hardest position, and that's the leg drag position. Okay, so personally, like at Kata here, for the students, I do teach side control, like certain side control threads. But in reality, you should never drift off the hip. If you're looking to pin somebody, you want to stay at the hip as much as possible. So we do more training from the leg drag position. Anytime you end up on the side, like anytime, if I threw Nate and I ended up here, my goal would be to get an underhook and run back to leg drag, because now I can stay on top of Nate's hips. Okay? Now this is the hardest one to deal with. I'm going to show you guys how to, the best way to approach escaping. Okay, so from the leg drag position, hard for Nate to hip escape, and I already know which way he could turn. He could only turn that way because I have his knees pointed that way. He can't turn into me here. Okay, so unfortunately for Nate, he can't really hip escape, but the one thing about this position is I'm giving up for committing all my way to the hips. I'm giving up that pin up the chest. So as soon as Nate gets to leg drag, what he wants to do is reach over the top. So real quick, what I want to do as the top person is drive my head cross body, and I want to look to split the legs and either mount over them or start leg weaving so that I can mount here. Okay? So what Nate wants to do is prevent me from getting my head to the mat. okay? Because that will pin his upper body as well. So before I can do that, Nate's gonna sit up and prop up to his elbow as he reaches his hand to my lat here, okay? Now, from here, this does put him at risk for grabbing the wrist, but this is how we're gonna counter it. Someone good is gonna go ahead and take that wrist and begin to bring it in. As Nate feels that, he needs to hook my foot with his top leg. And as I drive, Nate's gonna ball up, bring his knees to his chest, head between the legs, and he's gonna off balance me. Okay, now from here, you can pummel his legs inside, and he'll end up in a side control. Okay, so again, I'm in leg drag. He needs, before I can drive my head to the mat, he needs to build up, okay? And as I take the wrist, remember, I may have Nate's wrist, but if he collapses, he has mine as well. He balls up, brings his knees to his chest, and then he off balances over the top. Okay, pummel his leg through, and then sweeps. Okay? Now, one last variation here. Okay, keep turning, Nate, or scoot up for me. Okay, Nate builds up to his side. Okay, here. Let's just say they don't go for the wrist. Nate, build up to your elbow. Stay strong. Okay, and they go body lock instead. What Nate's gonna look to do is he's gonna look to get this top butterfly hook in. Okay, so that might be hard for him to pummel now. That's why he's gonna use his elbow and scoot his hips back to create some space to swim that butterfly hook in. Okay, now from here, he's gonna make an attempt to off balance me. Okay, try to off balance me, Nate. Boom, right? But I'm probably gonna open my hands, in which case he extends me out and heists his hips up. Okay, now he can go front headlock, butterfly sweep, you name it. Okay, so again, from that butterfly hook, if I stay my hands locked, he's gonna try to off balance. I spread, he extends out and heists his hips up there. Okay, now even if he can't build to his elbow, Nate can still make an attempt to get that hook by using the outside leg hook, stepping, right, and then creating that space. But the whole point is you guys want to get that butterfly hook in if your opponent is in leg drag. Okay, so I hope that helped you guys. Again, we covered pretty much, I mean, most of the positions you'll come across in side control. And again, this is one of those, fundamental positions. Like, I think understanding how to be unpinnable, like, especially from a side control, you add that with mount and half guard, it already makes you a lot harder of an opponent to deal with, because then, being able to graduate to something like a mount or a back control becomes a lot harder if you can't be held down. So again, guys, hope that helped. Please leave us a comment. If there's anything else you guys want to see, or if anything we can do better, we're always trying to improve and give you guys the best content possible. So as always, please like and subscribe to support our channel. And thank you guys for watching.